All right, welcome to the 2026 WBL World Series preview show. I'm Ethan Eibach alongside Andrew Peralt and Harper Schultz. Fellas, how we doing?
Good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we got a fantastic matchup in this World Series, but first let's just recap this great postseason. It started off the Rain Series, the Knights and the Master Batters. Just kind of talk through what you guys saw in that.
Yeah, I saw a Knights team that took advantage of having more experienced baseball players out there for them, and they took care of both series that way. And then as for the Cowboys, I mean, they're rolling right now. They don't have as much depth on the mound that the Knights do, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and Harper, your Monkeys, you saw the Cowboys firsthand. Just kind of describe the postseason run and kind of what you saw from the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, they're a solid team. They're good hitters all around. They all can make an impact in their own ways, and they're solid pitching, so they're just a solid team overall.
Yeah, I think this something to note is that every series in the postseason so far, except for one, has gone to the final game in a Game 3. So it'd be very awesome if we could get a Game 5 because the last two World Series, Andrew, have been sweeps.
Yeah, I mean, sweeps really kind of surprising the last couple, but I think, both teams are talented here. They know each other very well, and, the first meeting was very competitive as well.
Yeah, so the rosters that we expect to be there on Monday night, we're expecting the full squads for both teams. And for the Knights, that includes Caleb Briggeman, Peyton Spitzer, Beckett Gigstead, Finn Bergseth, and we think Grayson Doctor, maybe Quinn Miller. We don't know about that, but kind of just describe what you guys think of this roster and what the strategies that come with that. We'll start with Harper.
Yeah, I mean, I think their best bet is to probably avoid putting Quinn in the lineup and maybe even Grayson, purely based off they haven't played in a while. And normally, as I know personally from it and other players, that first series back is definitely you're in a slump to build back to seeing the wiffle ball how you have always. So, I mean, not that Quinn and Grayson, especially Grayson, aren't great wiffle ball players, but I just think it's tough to come into the World Series without playing a wiffle ball game all year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they should keep those guys out of the lineup, or at least down in the order. We know that they'll probably mix in arms on the mound. I think that all three pitchers should throw in the first three games that they threw against the Bulldogs, and that's their best chance of winning.
Yeah, and then for the Cowboys, we'll put the graphic on the screen for the rosters, but they're going to have their full squad. Obviously, Hunter Geary was not there. I think he didn't think he was going to play, and that's why he didn't show up to the semifinals. But that includes their core four that have been here all year, and Jonah is back. So I think, for me, a key in this series is Jonah, because he's been through a lot of World Series. He's going to play in his fourth World Series of his career. Kind of, you guys, just describe how he can boost this team, as he's the only guy on this team that's played in multiple World Series other than Jonas.
Yeah, we saw it in 2023. He had limited appearances on the Cowboys and came up big in Game 4 when he kind of hit that rising tree bomb. We got half of the tree there, but I think that he can be a direct insert to the lineup. Jonas can plug him in. He's technically still the manager, Jonah, but I think, he's a direct influence to just a strong hitting lineup overall.
Yeah, I think he definitely adds more depth to their hitting. Not that they really need much more, but I think his consistency at the plate will help them out. As you see, they're they hit a lot of bombs, but they also tend to swing and miss and chase balls the one way. So I think his consistency will help them out.
Yeah, and one last thing we're going to touch on in the lineups and the hitting aspect of this. What do you guys think is – we kind of talked about it already, but what are the keys? Do you think they hit 3 guys? Do you think they hit 4? I think something to note is to get as many at-bats as possible. So do you think guys like Grayson, Jonah, maybe Geary, maybe, if Quinn shows up, do you think those are pinch hitting roles? What do you think their role is going to be?
I think that, the Cowboys, they'll go with 5 guys. I don't think they're going to play Hunter after missing the semis there, and I think that the Knights are going to play 4 guys. I don't think Quinn will be in the lineup for them, and I also don't think Spitzer will be in the lineup. I think that he's going to take a step back and maybe just be, what we saw in last World Series, kind of just come in on the bases.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. I think Knights very well. I think they'll start with 4, but I think very well the first 2 games go. We'll switch to 3 maybe of just Giggy, Bergseth, and Caleb. But, I mean, we'll see how the first 2 games go. I think they'll start with 4, though, for sure. And then the Cowboys, I would also assume bat 5. I think Jonas is not going to not sit Jonah. And I think he keeps the rest of the lineup in, which they're all solid hitters, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and so that'll bring us to the defensive side of things. We'll touch on pitching in a little bit, but defense, I want to focus on defense because the Cowboys have had a dynamic duo in the field, and that's Henry Strum at first, and in left field, Tate Barnacle, 2 Gold Glove candidates. And then obviously Caleb Briggeman's won the last 3 Gold Gloves. Can you guys just touch on how you think defense could alter this series? Because, a diving play, a double play, something like that could change the trajectory of the series.
Yeah, I think that Tate Barnacle is one of the best defenders we've seen in the league. I mean, it's going to be awesome seeing some top 10 plays of his on the Barnacle cam. Like, that's going to be sick. But I think that Jonas would be crazy if he didn't go with that all-South lineup. You got Schrum at first, back to his catcher genes, really good at catching baseballs with balls. Caden on the bump, I would say, and then you got Tate Barnacle fielding his position well over there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think more on the Knights side of things, I think, as we saw in the Bulldogs game, Caleb to end the game, catches a rocket off the bat and then gets a double play, which is a great play by him. So I think their team's ability, I mean, Giggy's made plays in the field. I'd say they probably lack with Bergseth, but I think you put him at first if he plays in the field. And, I mean, that's what he plays in high school, so they'll be just fine. And I think Caleb's ability to make plays will help them out a lot.
Yeah, so now we're going to go into the part that's the most juicy about, the second most, because the next thing that we're going to talk about is very juicy, but the pitching matchups. So obviously the Cowboys, pretty evident that they're going to roll with Caden, I think, in game one with Jonas's struggles down the stretch here. But my question to you guys is, do we see Jonas at all in this series, or do you think they roll with Caden? Because Caden's only lost, I think, 2 games all year.
Yeah, I think Caden's going to come out and start just based on what he did versus the Monkeys. I do think that if he does start to give up runs, they'll go to Jonas as just a change of pace role. You hear that a lot in fantasy football, change of pace back. Yeah, he's going to be that role on the mound for the Cowboys. And then for the Knights, I think that they'd be crazy not to, mix in those arms. They have so much depth, and they should use it to their full ability.
For the Cowboys, after the game, Jonas said, in quotes, "Give me Briggy." So I think he personally starts himself, and we'll see how he goes from there. I think Caden definitely comes in at some point just because, like Andrew said, the pace needs to change. You can't see the same guy in potentially 5 games. That's just absurd. And then the Knights, they have to rotate through all 3, which they're all 3 solid. I think Caleb's ball probably moves the least, but he's also had the least practice, so maybe just from those 2 series he's played in now, we'll start to ramp it up again. Yeah. But I think, Giggy and Finn will be great.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what the Knights are going to do, because me and Andrew saw firsthand that they have 3 legit arms they could go to, and in a best-of-5 series, that could alter the series, especially if Caden or Jonas is struggling and they have to stick with one or the other. But then again, Andrew, last year in the World Series, the Cowboys, when Jonas started getting hit around, Sam Chase came in. He obviously wasn't the guy, and now they do have a guy in Caden.
Yeah, I'll give Sam some grace here. He had to come in. His hands are probably numb. It was raining out there. A guy who doesn't thrive off of the clutch moments down the stretch, rookie guy. But I think this year will be different. Caden's kind of proven himself. He'll be fresh off of pitching in state, so it should be a good time for Caden on the mound.
Yeah, and then this is the best part of the show here. That topic I want to talk about is the mind games, because Caleb and Jonas, these two want to beat each other really bad. Caleb got the best of Jonas last year. This year, Jonas wants to get the best of him. Just talk about, and not only that, I mean, all these guys are teammates, and some of our teammates in high school and Legion, so they all know each other. Just talk about the mindset of this going into this game for these guys.
I mean, there'll definitely be a lot of chirping. I mean, you see the rivalries, like, as we know from high school practice. I mean, Caleb tells Jonas every day he'd beat him at the show. Jonas says he'd beat Caleb. I mean, up for debate who actually would win. But just rivalries like that, I think, just stir it up and make things more interesting. We'll see tons of trash talk, which will be very exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think that even a little South and Davies get together with Caden and Gigstead, how Caden alluded to the post-game interview. He has his own thing going on there. So I think, this is Yankees-Dodgers at its finest.
Yeah, it's exactly, last year when I posted the graphic for the matchup, the caption is Yankees-Dodgers energy, and I think we're getting that again. And I actually have a question leading to that at the end of the show here. But one last question on this, kind of the mindset of going into this. Is this Jonas's last ride? Is this his last series? If they win and he retires, it's the best way to go out. But can he lose and go out that way? Or what do you think? How do you think things come out here with Jonas?
This is Jonas's last dance. I had talked to him, and he said, "Oh yeah," when I said, "Is this your last dance?" So this is his last final go. He'll be leaving it all out there, emptying the clip.
Yeah, I would agree with AP on that one. As we've seen over the season, he's taken himself out of the batting lineup. potentially, I don't know if it's the bones are hurting or what. He does pinch hit for himself in the last game, but so we've only seen him really pitching, and then if he comes into the baseline, he only goes the third to run, third to home. So
Yeah.
I think definitely setting up for a final go. But if they lose, I mean, you can't really count them out to come back from next year. Maybe just from a manager perspective, but even that, so maybe still just PO in wiffle ball, first ever.
Yeah, it would be very poetic for, if we get to a game 5 and Jonas hasn't pitched yet, you just got to think he's going to throw himself.
Yeah.
Leave it all out there for the
Got
last go at it. But, if this is Jonas's last ride, it's been a pleasure to have him. It's been really fun. And, Harper, you played with him. He's fun to play with, not so fun to play against because he's so competitive.
Yeah, he's so competitive.
But, he wants this and he wants it bad. But now we're going to go into the X factors. What do you guys think are some X factors in this series? Is it the depth, hitting depth? Is it, guys coming off the bench? Is it the defense? For me, I think it's what can your number 2 arm do? Because if Finn starts game 1 and they need to go to Gigstead, how well is he going to do? But I think whoever has the best pitching depth, that's what it came down to last year. The Knights never had to go to their number 2 arm. The Cowboys did, and that cost them. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think more off the 2 arm, I think the advantage for the Knights is they can go to a 3rd arm.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, we haven't really seen Spitzer throw, but based off how he does the North, I mean, he won't throw in the World Series, obviously, but there's a very real chance they could go to a 4th arm if needed. So I think just based off how much they can rotate and change up pace and ball movement, they can change every game if they really wanted to, how many pitchers they have. But so I think the Cowboys are going to have to take advantage of hitting them around still and being able to save just Caden and Jonas because they don't really have a 3rd go-to guy after Caden.
Yeah, Andrew, what do you think is something that this series could come down to? An X factor? What is it, something that this team has to do if they want to win?
It's going to come down to the non-negotiables. You talk all the time, base running and making the plays in the field. I think we saw it with the Monkeys, couldn't handle the conditions, and that comes down to bringing your own equipment with slippery grass potentially. But if it is raining, rain is in the forecast for this Monday.
Yep.
It's going to come down to who is more prepared, who is ready to go. I know the Cowboys really take that in-between inning time to get ready on the field.
Yeah, and there is, with all the heat that we've had this last week, there is, like you said, a slight chance of rain. And if there is, it seems like it's going to be a little bit like last year where it's off and on. It's not going to be Knights Master Batters rain. That was absurd. And then the last X factor I kind of want to touch on is, the clutch gene, because last year there wasn't any clutchness needed in the World Series because it was game 1 was close, but the rest of the games were blowouts. So it's going to come down to can Tate Barnacle hit another walk-off home run? Can Caleb have a signature moment? Can Gigstead or Spitzer have their moment as a rookie, or Finn? But I think it's going to come down. I think this truly is going to come down to one of those games where somebody needs to come up with a big swing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Building off that, I think that the Cowboys are the most tight-knit team.
Yes, for sure.
They have shown that in their own spring season and in WBL for sure. They have each other's backs and they're willing to pick up guys that are on base, and they're willing to bounce back. So that's going to be a tough thing for the Knights to handle.
Yeah, so second to last segment kind of here is we're calling this the check mark type of thing here. So we're going to go through pitching, bullpen, hitting depth and all that, and give a check mark to which team we think has that. So we're going to start with ace pitching. First of all, we don't really know who the Knights ace is, but which team has the edge as for the number 1 arm on this team? And I'll hand this off to you guys.
I'd go Cowboys. I think purely based off the season total, I think I would go Nelson, just because I think he hides his pitches so well.
Yep.
And they just, I don't know, they're just really hard to read with how funky he is on the mound. So I'd say his job as an ace, because I think he could go 3 games if he wanted to, compared to I don't think any of the Knights guys go more than 2 games. So.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the Knights. I saw Finn Bergseth. He's been in a similar situation, even though he's a rookie. In the 3v3 tournament, we saw him.
Yep.
He was working through lineups very well when it came down to the stretch, and it came up to a few mistakes, but I think he'll iron those out, and I think he's the ace going in for both teams.
Yeah, and I think, to piggyback off that, one thing that Finn might struggle with a bit is, it might sound cringy, but there is adrenaline in wiffle ball in big games. So if he, throws a ball and it's 66, like we've seen a couple times, it's an auto ball in a big situation. That could really cost him. But to move on to the next thing, pitching depth. I think this is obvious. I think it's the Knights. I'll hand it off to you guys. Yeah,
it's not close. The Knights have it by far. I mean, like I said before, they very well could throw Spitzer in the game so they could have a 4th arm. I mean, I don't think they will, but they have 3 solid above average guys compared to the Cowboys' 2 solid starters. So
Yeah, I would even consider it a stretch to go to 2 solid starters for Compton because, you got Jonas. Everyone sees him in the cage now, and, everyone can hit his stuff. So take that as a chip on your shoulder, Jonas. But, I think that the Knights double their pitching.
Yeah, so then next check mark, who are we giving it to? Overall, we're going to go power hitting here. Now, this is, you can consider this, catching barrels or home runs, whatever you want to say. I'm going to give this one to the Cowboys. I think hitting power, they strike out a lot, but then they hit bombs. Not a lot of contact other than Tate going on, but what do you guys think?
I also would go Cowboys purely based off from the Knights' perspective. Besides like the occasional Caleb bomb, like Giggy's more of just a line drive, go over the fence kind of guy. As we saw in the game, Spitzer, kind of got off the hands, kind of a floater, barely over the fence. They're still going out, but when the Cowboys barrel the ball, it clears the backyard fence and over the house behind us. So, I give it to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys, pose a real threat to anyone in yards within a mile radius because, you got Jonah coming back too. That guy hits bombs. Everyone has hit a bomb in their lineup at some point, whether that be baseball, obviously wiffle ball, but,
Yeah, and then the second to last thing here is defense. Now, I think this is it's obvious, but it's not at the same time because we haven't seen Caleb make these top 10 plays. He hasn't been here the whole time, but I'm giving this check mark to the Cowboys. I think they just have the best duo in the league in Schrum and Barnacle, and Jonas and Caden can make their occasional great plays too. So I think the Cowboys. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Cowboys. The Knights are too impulsive.
Yeah, I'll switch it up. I'll go Knights. I think just purely based off, like we said, we haven't really seen Caleb. He's kind of warmed up now. He's been the best fielder in the league and not really that terribly close for the past couple seasons. So I think, once I said earlier, that play he made to end the game with you guys, that ball was probably the hardest hit ball of the day, and catch it that makes the 2-out play. So I think him being able to make plays off the mound with his hands, but also, he can run faster than anybody here, so he's getting any ball already. So I think him, but then the teammates around him that he kind of picks up, they seem to play better with him than they did at the start of the year. So I think he just kind of elevates them to being the better fielding team.
Yeah, and then the last check mark here is experience. Now, you can take this how you want. Playoff experience, big game experience, and experience in general. I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's the Knights. I think, obviously, they have 3 rookies, but I think Caleb and Grayson being in that lineup, they've played in a lot of big games. Cowboys, Caden's, this is his 2nd World Series now. Jonas has played a ton of games. But then you have 3 guys that haven't played a ton. So, I think it's controversial. I'm going to give it to the Knights. What do you guys think for experience?
I think the Knights. They have 3 guys who have been there last year.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets Spitzer was in the building, in the in the facility for that sweep. So, and then Finn Bergseth, we mentioned, he's played in some big wiffle ball games himself. I think they just pose bigger threat for experience badge.
Yeah, I'd go the same purely based off you can't really count you can count Jonah as a vet, but also people the 2022 he didn't play every series. 23 he was rarely available.
He was hurt, yeah.
Yeah, and then 24 same kind of deal. He went to most, but not every series once again. And then last year and this year, he's just been off and on with the college, so it's not his fault. But so I think just his factor. You can't really count him. So I think the Knights just seem to take it.
Yeah, for sure. So. Before we make our picks, which I'm excited to do here, we're going to go through what does it mean for each team to win. Now, if the Cowboys win, it's their 2nd title in franchise history, and they get that monkey off their back after losing, the last 2 of the last 3 World Series, and then Jonas rides off into the sunset as a champion. Now, if the Knights win, it's kind of controversial. I don't know what to think of it because it's 3 rookies. They'll all be back next year, and then you have Caleb and Grayson, who obviously are going to play as long as they want, but kind of just talk through what it means for each team if they win or if they lose.
I think the Cowboys, if they win, it's going to be known as, Jonas went out with the ring, and he might actually go and buy himself a ring for this one. I think he's been waiting for it from a long time. He hasn't put together a full season where he has won that ring, and this would be the chance to do it. But I do think that for the Knights, they expect to win.
Yeah.
And, think.
Yeah, I think kind of the same thing. I think the Knights aren't even, not that they're overlooking this game, but I think in their minds they're thinking, how many can we get? They're thinking maybe 1. They already got that one.
They're thinking
so
dynasty.
They're thinking 2, 3, 4. They're thinking Jordan numbers. We're talking all the future. They have all the rookies. They're just expected. They should expect themselves to win. And then for the Cowboys, what she said, I think it'll kind of be remembered more of a Jonas ring compared to the whole team. Not that the whole team doesn't matter, but just like if he does end up retiring, I think that's just how it would kind of be left. So I think it'd be big for that. But also for them to climb out of the hole and like kind of get it like you said, the monkey off their back, away from them continuously losing in the World Series. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just something they.
Yeah, for sure. And that brings us to our last part of this, folks. It is the picks. Who are we picking in the World Series? Reminder, it's a best-of-5 series, so whoever wins 3 games first. In 2022, we went to best-of-5. 23 went to 5 games. The last 2 have been sweeps. Now, I don't think it's going to be a sweep this year. I said that last year, too. Harper, we'll start with you. Who are you picking and in how many games?
I will be taking in the 2026 WBL World Series. I got the Knights in 4. Right, 3-1 is final. I think they might lose game 2 maybe. I don't know. I got a weird feeling about game 2. I think game 1 they start hot. Game 2 they kind of stutter a little bit and fall. But I think them kind of going down will kind of just give them like you said earlier, the adrenaline where they just ramp themselves up so much that they just take care of game 3 and 4. I would say honestly pretty easily, pretty handily.
Yeah, and Andrew, before you make your pick, I want to note one thing, folks. Every World Series since 2022, whoever has won Game 1 has won the whole thing. So I think Game 1 is going to be huge in this. But Andrew, who are you taking in this World Series?
I've got the Knights in a sweep. 3-0 for the Knights. I think, at this point, they're just either going to do what they did last year or they're going to get swept themselves. So I think the Knights back-to-back.
I like it. All right, folks, and now that brings me to my pick. Obviously, I got to be unbiased and stuff because I'm calling the game and I'll be umping the game. I'm going to go game by game here. Now, Game 1, I think the Knights are going to take it. I think the adrenaline is going to be there. I think Cowboys get off to a slow start. Game 2, I think the Cowboys take that game, tie up a series. Game 3, Knights come back. They take a 2-1 lead. The vibes are high. Then the Cowboys take it right back in Game 4. And it sets up an all-time Game 5. Going to be dark out because it's 7:30 start. I'm saying Jonas is going to take the hill in Game 5, and he's going to take the series. I've got the Compton Cowboys winning the 2026 World Series. Headgear pick. Shout out Lee Corso. That'll do it for the show, folks. The 2026 WBL World Series preview show is in the books. The next video you will see will be the World Series. We'll see you next time.